The grill is sizzling hot. You can smell the char on the burgers. The kids are laughing in the pool, and your partner hands you a cold drink with a kiss. This is it. This is the life you earned. All those hours staring at a blinking cursor, your back aching and your fingers cramping up, it all finally paid off. We're talking about the kind of money that has a lot of zeros at the end.
The dream.
Exactly. And then the bus hits a pothole, your head knocks against the window, and you wake up wiping a string of drool from the side of your face. That dream of being a writer who's made it feels so close, so real.
Yeah.
But the reality is often just that jarring bump. You do everything you were taught in school. You write papers on papers. You get the good grades. But out here on the internet, it feels like no one is listening.
It's a different world.
It really is. It turns out your old teachers had a secret. They were paid to read your work. Your audience now, they'll click away in less than a second. So what separates the writer in the daydream from the one on the bus? It's not about talent, and it's not about working harder. It's about unlearning the one thing school drilled into all of us. And that unlearning, well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in this deep dive. It's not really about grinding more hours or, having some kind of innate genius. It's more about understanding the powerful, often unseen forces that are really at play in digital engagement.
Right. Those hidden gears.
Precisely. Today, we're diving deep into this fascinating world of how content truly connects, how it captures attention, and ultimately how it converts. We'll be looking into the strategic implementation of things like audience psychographics and behavioral data to, really optimize engagement.
That's a huge piece.
It is. And we'll also analyze the precise methodologies that content agencies use to build and maintain a consistent brand voice across all these different digital platforms.
Which is harder than it sounds.
Absolutely. And finally, we're going to investigate the cognitive biases and the persuasive techniques behind those really irresistible hooks that grab your attention. And importantly, the significant ethical tightrope that people walk when they use them.
A very fine line.
Definitely. So to kick us off, I want to share a story. It kind of gives us a glimpse into the raw human side of all this data we talk about. As a creator who spends a lot of time analyzing what makes content successful, I often find the conversation gets stuck on cold, hard data.
Yeah, the numbers.
Right. But behind every click, every share, and every conversion, there's a person. To understand the strategy, I believe we first have to understand the story. Let's try to imagine the human side of these professional concepts. I saw a post online the other day that reminded me of the sheer power of behavioral data. It was from a young woman in Seoul. Let's call her Gina. After a tough breakup, she found her digital world eerily in tune with her heartache. Her feed, once filled with couple-friendly restaurants, was now a curated recovery kit. Ads for solo trips to Jeju Island, workshops on mindfulness, and even a specific brand of tear-proof mascara she'd idly searched for once.
Wow. So specific.
Incredibly. At first, it felt like magic, a silent digital friend anticipating her needs. She clicked, she bought a ticket, she ordered the self-help book. But sitting in her apartment, surrounded by these algorithm-approved comforts, a chill settled over her.
Okay.
She felt perfectly understood, but also completely transparent, as if her private grief had been harvested, analyzed, and sold back to her as a neatly packaged consumer journey. The connection she craved wasn't with a brand, but she was so lonely that the targeted ads felt like a form of company.
That's quite something.
It really is. My take on this, it's the ultimate double-edged sword. As marketers, we strive for this level of personalization. It's efficient and, when done right, genuinely helpful.
Sure, that's the goal.
But Gina's story is a powerful reminder of the line between helpfulness and intrusion. When we target psychographics, those deep-seated emotions, fears, and vulnerabilities, we're wielding a powerful tool. We have to question if optimizing for conversion is worth making someone feel like their very soul has been data mined for profit.
Yeah, Gina's experience, it just perfectly encapsulates the starting point for our deep dive into this intimate world of audience data. That feeling she described, perfectly understood, but also completely transparent. It's almost unsettling, isn't it?
It really is.
It completely illuminates the strategic implementation of, psychographic and behavioral data in marketing campaigns. It showcases the incredible power these insights have to optimize content engagement, conversion rates, all that. But like you said, it also starkly highlights that crucial balance, or maybe the tension, between optimization and ethics. This is really where we start to unlearn that simple idea that data is just numbers. It's deeply, deeply human.
That's such a crucial distinction. Her story makes you wonder, though. If a brand can understand your raw emotions like that, how exactly are they gathering that kind of intimate data? Are they actually reading our minds? Or is there something more, well, systematic going on?
Oh, it's definitely systematic. And thankfully, far more sophisticated than just mind reading. Marketers build this really comprehensive, almost three-dimensional picture of their audience by strategically layering different types of data together. So the first layer, the foundation really, is what we often call demographic data. This gives you the broad strokes, age, gender, income, education level, occupation.
Basics.
Exactly, the basics. Think of it like a demographic blueprint. It helps you identify who your audience is at a very general level. Are they young professionals living in cities, or maybe retired folks out in the suburbs? It gives you that initial framework, but honestly, it's just the beginning. Okay, next we add psychographic data, and this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Wait, the why.
Precisely. This digs into the why behind what people do. It includes things like interests, values, lifestyles, even personality traits. Are they adventure junkies, homebodies, super eco-conscious, maybe very status-driven? Understanding these aspects gives you really deep insights into their motivations, their core beliefs, and crucially, their emotional triggers. This is the kind of data that would flag to a brand that Gina, grieving her breakup, might be much more receptive to self-help stuff or solo travel packages. It goes way beyond the surface level. And then finally, we layer on behavioral data. This tracks the how. So their purchasing history, how they interact with your website, their engagement patterns, clicks, shares, how long they spend looking at something.
What they actually do.
Exactly. It reveals how people actually interact with a brand or a product or even just one piece of content. Did they click on that specific ad? Did they put something in their cart but then leave? Did they watch an hour of videos on, say, gardening? This data shows the actions they've taken, their real engagement patterns over time.
So it's not just one type of data on its own, is it? It's the dynamic combination, the blending of these things that creates that big aha moment for marketers. That's where the magic, or maybe the science happens. We're unlearning that just knowing who is enough. You need the why from psychographics too.
Precisely. The real power, that ability to anticipate and respond to what consumers need with sometimes uncanny accuracy, it really comes from integrating these different data types. When you combine them effectively, you unlock truly enhanced marketing strategies. So for instance, enhanced personalization becomes incredibly powerful. If you know both the demographics, let's say a specific age group, and their psychographics, like their hobbies or maybe their current emotional state, like Gina's, well, then you can craft highly personalized messages.
Messages that really land.
Exactly. You can speak directly to their specific situation, and it resonates on a much deeper, almost empathetic level. It feels less like a generic ad and more like a tailored suggestion from someone who gets it. Then there's improved targeting.
Yeah.
Behavioral data adds immense precision here. If you know from past behavior that a specific demographic group is most likely to buy, say, gardening tools on a Saturday morning.
You reach them then.
Right. You can time your campaigns with remarkable effectiveness. You reach them exactly when they're most likely to be receptive, which makes your marketing spend way more efficient and, frankly, less annoying for the consumer. And finally, you get much deeper insights. Psychographic data provides really essential context to the behaviors you observe. Why did someone abandon their shopping cart? Was it just the price? Or maybe the product didn't quite align with their personal values or their lifestyle. Or like Gina, maybe they just weren't in the right headspace. Understanding these underlying motivations informs not just your marketing messages, but also crucial decisions about, say, product development, customer service approaches, your overall business strategy. It really moves beyond just selling stuff and helps you genuinely understand the entire arc of your customer's journey and needs.
That makes so much sense. So taking this out of the theoretical, how does this data integration actually translate into successful engagement in the real world? Engagement that feels, helpful rather than creepy. Can you give us some compelling examples of brands that are navigating this well?
Oh, definitely. We see this everywhere, especially with streaming platforms like Netflix, YouTube, Disney+, you name it. They use pretty advanced AI to analyze a massive amount of behavioral data.
Everything we watch.
Everything. Your viewing history, what you like, what channels you subscribe to, comments you leave, even how long you hover over a movie poster before deciding. Based on all that, they give you incredibly tailored recommendations.
Yeah, they're good.
They are. Netflix, for instance, has reported that something like 60%, a huge number, of their rentals come directly from personalized messages that are generated by analyzing viewing behavior. That level of precision keeps users hooked and stops them from drifting off to other platforms. Then you look at the e-commerce giants like Amazon. Their product suggestion engine is, well, legendary for a reason.
It knows what I want before I do sometimes.
Right. It's built entirely on your unique behaviors and past purchases. Did you just buy a sci-fi novel? Amazon will immediately suggest others buy that author, or in that subgenre, maybe even anticipating your next read. And this isn't just a minor feature. A stunning 35% of Amazon's total sales are directly attributed to these product suggestions. That's a colossal financial impact, driven purely by understanding individual behavior patterns. Even industries you might think are purely about trends, like fashion, are deep into this. Zara, for example, uses AI to analyze not just what people buy, but even things like body dimensions inferred from returns and preferred clothing styles.
Really? Body dimensions?
Yeah, it allows them to optimize their inventory in real time, adapt super quickly to changing trends, and significantly cut down on returns because they're offering clothes that are far more likely to actually fit and appeal to specific customer tastes. It takes a lot of the guesswork out. And it extends to consumer goods in some really fascinating ways. Take Coca-Cola Y3000, that limited edition drink. Its unique taste wasn't just dreamed up. It was actually developed using consumer preferences and data collected via AI, analyzing trending flavors and user feedback.
So AI designed the taste.
Partly, yeah. And going back a bit, in 2014, Coke put sensors in some vending machines for real-time supply info. AI algorithms use that data to figure out demand for each machine and suggest optimal stock levels. This apparently led to a 15% sales jump and an 18% reduction in restocking trips, just by suggesting different drink assortments based on actual sales data. It's a subtle but brilliant example of behavioral data improving both the product and the logistics. And just more generally, the impact of real-time personalization is massive. Things like triggered emails sent right after you take a specific action on a website, or dynamic website content that actually changes based on who you are as a visitor, these things can yield enormous ROI.
Huge returns.
Yeah, some retailers have reported a mind-blowing 667% ROI when they add real-time personalization to their event-triggered campaigns. It just proves how being relevant right now dramatically boosts results. Plus, machine learning is always finding these missed connections in the data, suggesting unique product combos that a human might never think of, creating unexpected value.
These examples really drive home the power you're describing, both for efficiency and, well, impact. But let's circle back to Gina's story for a moment, and that whole double-edged sword aspect. When you possess this much intimate data, that line between being helpfully predictive and being outright intrusive gets incredibly blurry, doesn't it? What are the ethical implications we absolutely need to keep front and center?
That is the absolutely critical question, isn't it? And it's such a tightrope walk. Gina's feeling that her private grief was somehow harvested, analyzed, and sold back to her, that perfectly captures the tension.
Yeah.
Marketers, ideally, aim for that feeling of being helpful, where the brand anticipates your needs and offers a relevant, timely solution. But when that anticipation crosses over into feeling transparent, where your deepest emotional states seem known and, worse, leveraged for profit, it can feel deeply invasive, exploitative even.
Right, it undermines trust.
Completely. The consumer feels exposed, not supported, and that can cause significant distrust and pushback. One of the biggest ongoing challenges here is obviously data privacy. AI systems inherently rely on analyzing enormous amounts of personal data. This makes strict compliance with global data privacy regulations like GDPR in Europe, CCPA in California, LGBT in Brazil, and others absolutely non-negotiable.
The legal side.
Exactly. These laws set very stringent rules for how personal data is collected, processed, stored, and used. Businesses must ensure their practices are ethical, transparent, and crucially, consensual to build and maintain trust. Any slip-up, whether it's a data breach or just a perception of misuse, can severely damage a brand's reputation, lead to hefty fines, and trigger major consumer backlash. Another absolutely crucial point is the need for human oversight. Even the most sophisticated AI systems are, at their core, tools. They're trained on data and algorithms created by humans. They don't possess genuine consciousness, common sense, or a moral compass.
They don't get ethics.
Precisely. This means they require continuous human input, training, and supervision to ensure they're producing accurate and, importantly, ethical results. Without that oversight, there's a real risk of amplifying unintentional biases. Maybe an algorithm learns to discriminate based on patterns it finds in biased data, or making cultural blunders that can alienate huge segments of your audience.
So you need a human asking, is this okay?
Yes. Someone needs to be in the loop, constantly asking, is this recommendation genuinely helpful, or is it just preying on a vulnerability? Is this personalized message truly relevant, or is it just creepy? Are we accidentally creating filter bubbles by only showing people things they've already liked? These are complex ethical questions that AI, on its own, simply cannot answer.
Okay, so given these complexities and the undeniable power of this data, what are the practical, responsible steps businesses can take? How do they effectively integrate these powerful data types into their strategies without alienating their audience or stepping over those ethical lines? How do they avoid that big brother feeling?
It really boils down to a very deliberate, strategic approach. Ethical considerations have to be woven into every single step of data management and use. First off, you need to collect comprehensive data, but do it responsibly. This means actively gathering information from various legitimate sources, always with informed consent. For psychographic data, think about using well-designed surveys, social media analytics that provide aggregated, anonymized insights, and robust CRM systems to understand interests and values.
Get permission.
Absolutely. For behavioral data, meticulously track website analytics, purchase history, email engagement patterns, and don't forget your demographic data regularly audit and updated for accuracy. But the key at every single collection point is transparency and informed consent. Second, you need to analyze and segment this data effectively and ethically. Use advanced analytics tools to process the information, looking for meaningful patterns and correlations, not just exploiting vulnerabilities. The goal is to create detailed, nuanced customer profiles, combining all three data types: demographic, psychographic, behavioral.
So beyond broad strokes.
Exactly. This lets you identify common patterns and create precise, actionable audience segments that represent real people with real needs and behaviors, moving way beyond simplistic categories. Third, you develop targeted campaigns based on these rich, multi-layered profiles. Craft marketing messages and personalized content that genuinely address the unique needs, preferences, and maybe even the current context of each segment. This could involve dynamic website content that changes based on the visitor's profile, or tailoring email campaigns based on behavior like a follow-up with related products after a purchase. The crucial difference is ensuring the messaging feels relevant and helpful, not intrusive or exploitative. And finally, perhaps most importantly, monitor and adjust continuously. Marketing strategies aren't set it and forget it. You have to constantly track campaign performance, look at conversion rates, engagement, but also actively seek customer feedback on the personalization itself.
Keep checking in.
Right. Use A/B testing to evaluate different approaches, see what resonates best with each segment, and what might be crossing a line. The digital landscape is always changing, customer expectations shift, so your strategies must be flexible. Adjust based on real-time data and feedback to stay effective, relevant, and above all, respectful of your audience's privacy and autonomy. This iterative process is absolutely key for both commercial success and responsible ethical data use.
That leads us really nicely into the next big challenge for creators and brands, cultivating a consistent voice. Okay, so you know your audience intimately through their data. Now, how do you actually speak to them in a way that consistently builds trust and connection, especially when often there's a real human being trying to embody that voice day in, day out?
Yeah, it's not just what you say.
Exactly. It's how you say it across every single interaction. And this whole idea gets pretty complicated when you think about the human element behind it all. It makes you unlearn the idea that brand voice is simple. I actually heard a story from a friend who works in a creative agency in London, and it really made me stop and think about this concept of brand voice and, well, what authenticity even means anymore. His name is Tom, right? And his job, his whole job, was to be the voice of this new, super popular vegan snack company on social media. The brand's persona was all cheeky, optimistic, and radically positive.
High energy.
Totally. So Tom spent 8 hours a day churning out these chirpy posts using all the latest slang, tons of exclamation points, celebrating plant-powered positivity and good vibes only. But here's the thing. In reality, Tom was dealing with pretty severe anxiety. He was grieving a personal loss and honestly feeling deeply cynical about everything.
Oh, wow. That's a clash.
A massive clash. He described it like this kind of psychological split.
Wow.
He'd be sitting in his dimly lit flat, feeling the weight of the world, while simultaneously typing, OMG besties, you have to try our new zesty lime flavor. It's literally sunshine in a bag.
That sounds exhausting.
Totally. He said one afternoon, after a particularly rough day, he actually typed up this sarcastic, weary response to a customer complaint. Just let it all out. His finger was hovering over the send button.
Oh, no.
He caught himself just in time, deleted it, and replaced it with the brand's standard signature upbeat apology. But he said in that moment, he felt like an actor playing a part he just couldn't stand anymore, selling this feeling of authenticity that was completely manufactured out of his own exhaustion. When I hear stories like that, it really complicates how I see branding. We talk about cultivating a distinct brand voice to build loyalty, and, it works. People loved that snack company's online personality. But we often forget there's a human being with their own messy, complex life who's tasked with performing that personality day after day. It just highlights the huge emotional labor involved in modern marketing and forces you to ask, what does authenticity truly mean when it's scheduled, scripted, and maintained by someone who might be feeling the absolute opposite?
Tom's experience, wow, it really does get right to the heart of it. It underscores that brand voice is so much more than just a list of approved words. It's that crucial element that underpins loyalty, connection, everything. And that struggle Tom faced, that psychological split he described, it highlights the immense pressure on creators, on social media managers, on anyone embodying a brand to perform that persona consistently, even when their personal reality completely contradicts it. This is where we really have to unlearn the simplistic idea that a brand is just a logo or a tagline. It's become a kind of living entity, often an emotional performance.
So let's really try and nail this down then. What exactly is a brand voice if it's not just the literal words we see? It's clearly something much deeper than just surface-level communication.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
A brand voice is really the embodiment of the emotions, the values, the whole identity that's conveyed in every single interaction a customer has with the brand across every single touch point.
The personality.
Exactly. It's the heart and soul of the brand. It influences not just how it sounds, is it smart and plain spoken or witty and full of puns, but also, just as importantly, how it doesn't sound. Maybe a brand specifically avoids exclamation points or corporate jargon or certain types of slang because it just doesn't fit their core identity. And this voice isn't just, a casual choice or a style that changes week to week. It's often meticulously documented in a much broader brand Bible or a brand messaging and style guide.
The rule book.
Pretty much. These comprehensive guides cover everything, not just voice, but brand values, mission statements, taglines, standard boilerplate copy, key messaging pillars, even visual guidelines like color palettes and fonts. It's the definitive blueprint for all communication, designed to ensure absolute consistency. And the reason this is so incredibly important, the reason brands invest so much in it, is because a distinct, consistent brand voice is what builds trust. It's what engages audiences on a deeper level and fosters those strong, lasting connections. Research actually supports this pretty strongly. Yeah. Studies show that storytelling, which is obviously deeply tied to the emotional resonance of a brand voice, can boost brand connection and trust by about 4%. More impressively, it can influence something like 68% of shoppers' purchase choices.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. And in today's digital world, especially on social media, this consistency is just vital. Think about these numbers. 90% of users follow at least one brand online. 77% say they're more likely to buy from a brand they follow. And 62% of millennials specifically report feeling more loyal when a brand actively interacts with them on social media. A consistent voice creates that familiarity, builds a sense of personality people can connect with, and encourages that crucial engagement across all these different platforms.
Okay, but now let's throw AI into the mix. How does that complicate things? How does it complicate maintaining this carefully cultivated voice? Tom's internal struggle makes you wonder, does AI make this easier by taking the human emotional labor out, or does it just make that manufactured authenticity even more, manufactured and maybe less convincing? Can AI really capture the soul of a brand?
That is the central challenge right now, and honestly, it's something everyone is grappling with. AI content creation tools offer incredible speed and efficiency, no doubt about it, but relying too heavily on them without really careful human guidance, well, that can lead to several pretty common pitfalls that can seriously threaten a brand's unique identity. One of the biggest issues we see is inconsistent tone and style. Even if you train an AI rigorously on mountains of a brand's past content, it fundamentally operates on statistical patterns, not genuine understanding or nuance.
It's mimicking, not feeling.
Exactly. So it can easily produce content that subtly, or sometimes quite obviously, deviates from the established tone. A brand that's supposed to be warm and friendly might suddenly sound cold and formal, full of jargon, or maybe AI-generated humor just falls flat, comes across as awkward or forced, because it lacks that real human understanding of context and timing. These inconsistencies can really confuse customers and significantly weaken the brand identity, making it feel disjointed, unreliable. Then there's the very real risk of misalignment with brand values. AI simply lacks an inherent understanding of a brand's core purpose, its ethical stance, its nuanced position in the market. It processes data. It doesn't hold deeply felt beliefs.
It doesn't have a conscience.
Right. So without constant human oversight, AI-generated content could unintentionally contradict the brand's stated principles or its mission. Imagine a brand known for sustainability, accidentally generating content that seems tone-deaf about an environmental issue, or promotes something contradictory through just a subtle turn of phrase. Even one misaligned post can rapidly erode trust, damage credibility, and lead to significant reputational harm. Because remember, even the most advanced AI today operates on statistical patterns, not genuine consciousness or a moral compass. It can mimic values it's trained on, but it can't truly evaluate new situations against an internal ethical framework it doesn't possess. Another huge limitation is the lack of emotional connection. AI can definitely mimic human language. It can even be trained to mimic sentiment, but it really struggles to replicate that genuine empathy, that warmth, that nuanced emotional intelligence that's so crucial for building truly meaningful customer relationships and fostering real loyalty.
It can't be the Tom part.
It can't do the feeling part, right? It can deliver information accurately, maybe even efficiently, but it often misses that intangible human touch. The subtle reassurance, the shared joke that lands perfectly, the genuine understanding that truly resonates on a deeper human level. Like you said, AI can write a love letter based on patterns, but it can't feel the butterflies. And finally, there's a challenge around lack of adaptability and nuance. Markets change incredibly fast, audience preferences evolve, cultural conversations shift constantly. A brand's messaging needs to adapt to stay relevant. AI systems, if left purely to their own devices, need constant updates, retraining, and fine-tuning to keep up. Without continuous human intervention, without strategic interpretation of trends and context, AI-generated content can quickly start to feel outdated, disconnected from current cultural nuances, or just slightly off-key, losing its impact.
So AI can definitely churn out content like nobody's business, but it can't quite grasp the soul of a brand or manage the kind of emotional labor Tom was experiencing. Which brings up a really crucial question. How do brands make sure their unique voice doesn't get lost in translation when they start integrating AI into their content creation? It really sounds like we need to unlearn the idea that true authenticity can be simply manufactured or automated away.
Precisely. And that's exactly why human agencies, human strategists, human creatives remain absolutely essential. Technology alone, no matter how advanced, just cannot capture the depth, the nuance, the soul of a brand's identity. Agencies provide that indispensable layer of expertise that ensures technology complements human creativity and strategic thinking rather than replacing it. First and foremost, they offer crucial strategic insight and creative direction. Skilled branding and content specialists can take the raw data, the numbers, the trends, the analytics, and transform it into compelling narratives that genuinely capture attention and authentically reflect a brand's unique perspective and purpose. AI tools, powerful as they are, inherently struggle to achieve that level of depth, originality, and truly authentic voice. Agencies develop those comprehensive AI content strategies, ensuring every single piece of content, whether it's human-generated or AI-assisted, aligns perfectly with the brand's long-term goals and overarching identity. They guide the AI, not the other way around. Second, agencies provide absolutely vital ethical oversight and quality assurance. We talked about AI's limitations. Sometimes it misses subtle cultural cues, or contains unintentional biases learned from data, or lacks the necessary sensitivity for a particular topic or audience. Agencies act as those critical safeguards.
The human filter.
Exactly. They ensure that AI-generated content aligns flawlessly with the brand's values, avoids embarrassing or damaging missteps, and communicates with the necessary precision and sensitivity. This human oversight is absolutely vital for maintaining credibility, building trust, and avoiding the significant pitfalls of relying solely on technology without checks and balances. And critically, experienced agencies excel at leveraging AI as a tool, not a replacement. They understand AI's strengths, its incredible speed for repetitive tasks, its ability to analyze vast data sets quickly, its capacity to generate initial drafts or multiple variations. But crucially, they also recognize that raw AI output almost always needs refinement.
It needs that human touch.
Always. They harness AI to streamline workflows, to accelerate initial content production, freeing up their human experts to do what humans do best, inject personality, emotional nuance, brand-specific language, and that kind of creative spark that makes content truly resonate and feel authentic. This ensures the final product truly embodies the brand voice, rather than just being a hollow mimicry. It's about intelligent collaboration, not just simple substitution.
That's a really powerful framework for navigating brand voice in this new AI integrated world. So for brands and the agencies they work with who are looking to integrate AI effectively, what are the practical best practices? How do you ensure the seamless, productive blend of AI speed and that essential human creative oversight?
Right, there are probably 5 key best practices that really help you integrate AI seamlessly with agency expertise, letting you maximize efficiency without sacrificing your brand's unique identity. First, you absolutely have to set clear goals and define responsibilities. Before you even start using AI for content, be crystal clear about what you want to achieve. Is the main goal brand awareness, driving engagement, generating leads, customer retention? Having clear, measurable goals guides everything. Then clearly define who does what. Let AI handle the initial drafts, maybe research assistance, data gathering. But the human agency focuses on refining the content, safeguarding the brand voice, overseeing the overall strategy, and injecting that crucial emotional intelligence and creativity. Second, start with manageable projects. Don't try to revolutionize your entire content operation with AI overnight. That's usually a recipe for trouble. Begin with smaller, less complex tasks where the stakes are lower if there are initial hiccups. Things like drafting social media captions, maybe outlines for blog posts, initial drafts of email newsletters, or website FAQs.
Test the waters first.
Exactly. This lets you test how well the AI fits with your established brand voice, gather valuable data on its performance in your specific context, and build confidence and expertise within the team before you scale up to more complex mission-critical projects. Third, and this is maybe the most crucial one, blend AI speed with human creativity. AI is brilliant at generating output quickly, but it's the human experts who inject the personality, the nuance, the real soul of the brand. So use AI for first drafts, or maybe to generate a bunch of different options or angles. Then have your skilled human writers and editors take over. They refine, they polish, they inject emotional depth, ensure cultural relevance, add brand-specific language.
The polishing step.
Critical polishing step. AI can also help personalize content at scale by creating variations for different audience segments. But again, the agency ensures these personalized versions stay perfectly aligned with the overall brand voice and narrative. This whole approach frees up your human team from the more repetitive, data-heavy tasks, allowing them to focus on higher-level strategy, creative ideation, and building that genuine human connection. Fourth, you have to track performance and adapt continuously. Content strategy isn't static, it's dynamic. It's absolutely vital to consistently review performance metrics, engagement rates, conversion rates, audience feedback to understand what's truly resonating with your audience and what's falling flat. Agencies with real expertise in AI integration are invaluable here. They can interpret complex data sets, identify actionable insights from how the AI-generated content is performing, and feed that back into the strategy.
Learn and adjust.
Constantly. This allows your content strategy to evolve proactively, keeping pace with shifting audience preferences, market trends, new cultural conversations, and even new AI capabilities. It keeps your brand relevant and impactful. And finally, it really pays to choose an agency skilled in AI integration. Partnering with experts who genuinely understand the complexities and nuances of AI content marketing makes a huge difference. An experienced agency can expertly navigate these new tools, help streamline your workflows, train your teams if needed, and help you sidestep common mistakes that could dilute your brand message or even damage your reputation. They stay on top of the latest AI developments and can incorporate advanced strategies, like optimizing for how search engines themselves are using AI, ensuring your content remains visible and effective in this rapidly evolving digital landscape. And just briefly related to all this, it's worth touching on cross-platform marketing sync. This isn't just a nice to have. It's absolutely essential for maintaining that unified brand voice we've been talking about.
Keeping it consistent everywhere.
Exactly. It's the whole process of unifying your marketing campaigns across all your different platforms.
Yeah.
Email, social media, mobile apps, your website, even in-store experiences if you have them, to ensure a totally consistent message and a seamless, coherent customer experience. If your brand voice sounds different on Instagram than it does in your emails, it can really confuse customers, dilute your brand identity, and ultimately hurt your reputation.
Makes sense.
The benefits of getting it right are huge. A truly unified brand identity people recognize and trust, vastly improved audience targeting, increased engagement because the message always feels familiar and reliable, and just a smooth customer journey without those jarring inconsistencies or mixed messages. Achieving this usually involves using sophisticated marketing automation tools, meticulously monitoring customer data across all platforms, coordinating all your teams, internal and external, to ensure the consistent tone and message, and again, continuously testing and adjusting strategies. It all ties back to maintaining and projecting that singular, authentic brand voice everywhere.
That's such a vital point about consistency. And it leads us directly into the final, really critical piece of this whole puzzle, actually capturing and retaining attention in the first place. This is where the rubber truly meets the road, isn't it? Where all that careful data analysis and brand voice crafting either connects with an audience or just falls flat.
The moment of truth.
Right. And this part comes with its own set of profound ethical considerations, which are really highlighted by another powerful kind of cautionary story. This one requires us to unlearn the idea that just getting clicks is the ultimate goal. Let's try to imagine a man named Arthur. He's a retired history teacher, lives in a quiet suburb, maybe in Ohio. He's not super tech savvy, but he uses the internet, to keep up with the news, especially anything related to his finances, his retirement. His digital life, though, has somehow become this minefield of anxiety. Every single day, he's just bombarded with article headlines that seem meticulously crafted to trigger a very specific fear within him. Things like, the #1 sign your pension is about to collapse, or retirees are making this one simple mistake that's costing them thousands, or what your doctor isn't telling you about your blood pressure.
Oof. Fear-based stuff?
Totally. These are classic content hooks designed specifically to exploit cognitive biases, particularly loss aversion, that deep-seated fear of losing what you already have. Arthur, wanting to be responsible, he clicks. He feels like he has to. He can't help it.
Understandable.
But each click just leads him down this rabbit hole of endless slideshows, ads for questionable financial products, and just more and more fear-inducing articles. He ends up spending hours scrolling, feeling this rising sense of panic, but never actually getting clear, actionable information. The hooks work perfectly. They capture his attention. They retain it page after page, but they leave him feeling more vulnerable, more confused, and deeply more distrustful than ever before. Engaged, but hard. Exactly. He's being engaged technically, but he's also being emotionally manipulated. And I see this. And as a creator myself, it's just such a stark warning. The techniques, yeah, they're effective. Using cognitive bias in a headline will get you more clicks, probably. But Arthur's story just lays bare the human cost of that strategy when it's used irresponsibly. It preys on the vulnerable, and honestly, it pollutes the entire information ecosystem, all for a few extra engagement metrics. It's an incredibly powerful tool, the hook, but like you said before, it's like a weapon. In the hands of a responsible journalist or creator, sure, it can be used to highlight important truths, raise necessary alarm, but in the wrong hands, it just becomes a source of fear and misinformation, driving clicks, but completely eroding the trust that our entire industry is supposed to be built on.
Arthur's distressing experience, yeah, it brings the whole concept of content hooks into such sharp, almost painful focus. His story perfectly illustrates their immediate, undeniable power to grab and hold a reader's attention. But it also throws those very real ethical dilemmas into stark relief. Dilemmas that arise when these powerful psychological techniques are used to prey on vulnerabilities like fear or insecurity. This is where we truly have to unlearn that simplistic idea that just writing well is enough to get attention. We have to embrace the necessity of the hook, but simultaneously unlearn the notion that power comes without responsibility. It demands immense ethical consideration.
So drilling down then in this digital world, what exactly is a hook fundamentally? And why is it so incredibly critical for any piece of content hoping to succeed? It really sounds like it's the absolute make or break element in this noisy online landscape.
Oh, it absolutely is make or break. A hook is essentially that opening statement. It could be the first few sentences, sometimes even just a compelling phrase or question that is specifically designed to grab the reader's attention immediately and, crucially, entice them to keep reading.
Like a fish hook grabbing them.
Exactly like a fish hook. Or think of the catchy song hook. It's that irresistible bit that gets stuck in your head and makes you want to hear the rest of the song. Without a strong hook, your content, no matter how brilliant it might be later on, is basically invisible in the vast churning ocean of digital information. In today's world where people are just constantly bombarded with more information, notifications, and distractions than ever before, those first impressions are absolutely paramount. Research consistently shows that online readers will click away, sometimes in less than a second, if they're not immediately engaged.
Less than a second.
Wow, it's brutal. So a strong hook isn't just, a nice stylistic flourish. It's a fundamental requirement for cutting through that sheer noise and clutter. It's essential for capturing that initial, incredibly fleeting interest. It's what transforms content from something easily scrolled past into something perceived as must-read or must-click.
And it seems like these hooks aren't just about being clever with words. They're actively leveraging deep-seated human psychology, like Arthur's experience with the fear of loss. How exactly do they do that? How do they dig into our subconscious biases so effectively?
You're absolutely right. The most effective hooks often deliberately tap into these powerful cognitive biases and persuasive techniques that are almost hardwired into our brains. Arthur's story is a prime, albeit unsettling, example of exploiting loss aversion.
That fear of losing things.
Precisely. Hooks like "your pension is about to collapse" are meticulously crafted to trigger that intense fear of losing something you already possess, whether it's financial security, health, status, or even just a perceived opportunity. This is an incredibly powerful cognitive bias. It compels us to pay immediate attention and often act, sometimes irrationally, just to avoid that potential loss. Our brains are simply wired more strongly to avoid pain than they are to pursue pleasure or gain. Another incredibly powerful psychological concept hooks often leverage is social proof. This is a very well-documented behavioral phenomenon where people tend to conform to the actions or opinions of others, especially when they feel uncertain about what to do or believe.
If everyone else is doing it.
It must be the right thing to do, or at least the safe thing to do. The impact of social proof in the digital world is just undeniably huge. For instance, studies suggest that nearly half, 45% of consumers, simply won't purchase a product if there are no reviews available for it. And an overwhelming 92% of customers report reading online reviews before making any buying decision. And this ties directly into trust. A remarkable 84% of people say they trust online reviews just as much as they trust personal recommendations from their own friends and family.
As much as a friend. Wow.
It's powerful. And the influence is even more direct on social media. Friends post on social media. And nearly half, 49% of consumers, say they rely on recommendations from influencers when deciding what to buy. Seeing what other people are doing, liking, buying, or recommending acts as this incredibly powerful validator and instinctively drives our engagement. It taps into that fundamental human desire to belong, to fit in, and to make safe, validated choices.
Okay, so knowing just how potent these psychological levers are, what are some of the most impactful types of hooks that creators can actually use? Can you give us some compelling examples that really highlight how effective they can be? We need to understand the tools properly before we can even think about wielding them responsibly.
Absolutely. It's crucial to understand the toolkit. While there are countless variations, let's focus on a few of the most impactful and widely used hook techniques that really leverage these psychological principles effectively. One very effective method is to state a startling fact or statistic. This works because it immediately grabs attention by presenting a surprising, ideally credible piece of information that's directly related to your main point. It forces the reader to pause, process, and think, wow, really?
Something unexpected.
Exactly. For example, you might see something like, according to a 2021 study, the average time spent daily using mobile devices worldwide is 4 hours and 10 minutes. That makes you reflect on your own usage. Or, to hook a specific audience, maybe a bold, slightly cheeky claim like, 81% of doctors agree this is the best writer on Medium. The key isn't just the fact itself, but its unexpectedness or relevance. Another really powerful technique is to add a question hook. These work wonders because they spark immediate curiosity. You pose intriguing, usually open-ended questions that tease knowledge or insight without giving the answer away immediately. This compels the reader to seek the resolution within your content.
Make them want the answer.
Precisely. Imagine a skincare brand asking, what are the 3 most common mistakes people make during their skincare routine? 50% of our customers are unaware of the habits negatively impacting their skin, and you might be one of them. See how that directly addresses potential reader concerns and hints at crucial hidden information they need? Then there's the ever-popular personal story or anecdote hook. This creates an immediate, relatable, and often emotional connection. It makes your writing memorable and draws the reader right into a specific scenario or experience.
Makes it human.
Totally. Think of a business coach sharing a short personal story about finding her favorite childhood bakery closed down and how that fuels her passion for helping local businesses succeed today. Or even just a micro story to set a scene. His look washed away as soon as the secretary walked into the empty waiting room. These narratives tap into our inherent love for stories and our natural ability to empathize. A much more direct approach is to make a bold statement or contradict popular beliefs. This immediately establishes a confident, sometimes even polarizing tone. You start with a strong, perhaps counterintuitive statement that the rest of your piece will then support. It instantly challenges the reader's assumptions.
Shoot things up a bit.
Exactly. Examples could be something like, for some, good times mean the end, or directly challenging a common industry myth. Do you believe posting daily on social media guarantees success? Think again. This kind of hook grabs interest immediately, whether the reader agrees or disagrees, because it compels them to read on to see the justification or the argument. You can also aim to connect emotionally to the reader right from the start. This technique focuses on generating an immediate emotional reaction, making readers feel seen, understood, and personally invested in the content, and by extension, the brand.
Tapping into feelings.
Right, for personal growth content, maybe. Ever feel like life is passing you by while you stand still? It's time to rediscover your passion and purpose. Or, for a financial advice piece, perhaps discussing the real emotional and financial weight of student loans to deeply engage an audience who shares that specific burden. It creates an immediate bond of shared understanding. Now let's dive a bit deeper into social proof, which we touched on earlier. Here are some very practical ways hooks leverage this fundamental bias. Share customer success stories or testimonials. This is incredibly potent. Authentic reviews and testimonials create these relatable narratives that provide undeniable social proof. Research suggests that these stories resonate up to 12 times more effectively than just stating facts because they show real people achieving real results or solving real problems.
Seeing someone like you succeed.
Exactly. Think of how brands like Taylor Brands position customer reviews not just as feedback, but as chapters in the brand story. Or how a health company like Form Health might share Shelby's personal weight loss journey, including emotional details about being able to play with her kids at family gatherings. These aren't just product endorsements, they're shared human experiences that build trust and aspiration. Another compelling form of social proof is highlighting awards, recognition, or certifications. Brands prominently display endorsements from recognized experts or prestigious industry awards to immediately add credibility and guide purchasing behavior. It leverages the authority bias we trust experts.
Like the dentist recommendation.
Precisely. Sensodyne proudly stating it's the #1 dentist-recommended toothpaste is a classic example. Beauty brands like Olaplex and K18 make sure to highlight their Allure Best of Beauty awards, especially if they're based on reader choices, effectively leveraging the collective preference of thousands of customers as powerful social proof. It's essentially saying, don't just take our word for it. The experts and tons of people like you agree this is great. And finally, perhaps the most ubiquitous form of social proof online is the people also bought viewed feature. We see this everywhere on e-commerce sites.
Amazon's bread and butter.
Totally. It cleverly leverages the principle of conformity. If other people like me bought this, maybe I should too. It recommends products based on what others, presumably with similar tastes or needs, have purchased or browsed. John Lewis, for example, uses these product carousels effectively. It not only enhances the customer experience by offering relevant suggestions, but often significantly increases the average order value by subtly guiding decisions based on the implied actions and preferences of peers. It's a gentle, data-driven nudge towards what's popular and, therefore, perceived as trustworthy or desirable.
Wow, that's an incredibly comprehensive look at the Hook toolkit. It really shows the sheer depth of psychological insight and strategy that goes into crafting those first few words or lines. But let's circle back again to Arthur's distress. When these incredibly powerful techniques, especially those leveraging fear or anxiety like loss aversion, are used to exploit vulnerabilities, well, it feels like a profound violation of trust, doesn't it? What are the ethical responsibilities here? Where do creators and marketers need to draw the line when crafting these powerful content hooks?
Arthur's story serves as such a stark, almost visceral reminder of the very real human cost when hooks prey on vulnerability instead of providing value. His rising panic, his confusion, his growing distrust, these illustrate precisely how the irresponsible use of these techniques pollutes the entire information ecosystem.
It's more than just clicks.
So much more. It's about the tangible, mental, and emotional impact on a real person. It erodes their sense of safety, their trust in online information, maybe even their self-esteem. And as you rightly pointed out earlier, these hook techniques are incredibly powerful tools. They're almost like a weapon in the communication arsenal. Used responsibly, they can be incredibly beneficial, highlighting important truths, raising genuine awareness about critical health issues, informing people about real financial risks in a way that empowers them to make informed decisions for their own well-being.
Using the power for good.
Exactly. But in the wrong hands, driven solely by the desire for clicks, engagement metrics, or profit, they become insidious sources of fear, anxiety, and misinformation. They end up eroding the very trust that our entire digital economy, let alone ethical communication, is supposed to be built upon. The profound ethical responsibility, therefore, lies in ensuring that the intent behind the hook is genuinely to inform, to help, to entertain positively, or to provoke thought constructively, not to manipulate, exploit, or cause undue distress purely for gain. It's fundamentally about trying to build a relationship based on value and respect, not just extracting a click through psychological tricks.
That's a critical distinction. So, given all this focus on the opening, what's the very first hook someone actually encounters? The one that determines if they even see your carefully crafted opening sentence, let alone click through to read the rest of your amazing content? It seems like this might be the most critical component of all.
You're absolutely right. That would unequivocally be the title or the headline. It's the gatekeeper. Without an engaging, compelling title, even the most brilliant hook within the content itself will simply never be seen because the audience won't even bother to start reading or click the link in the first place.
It's the first impression.
It's the absolute first impression, and often the only impression you get to make in a crowded feed or search results page. The title is your single shot, your primary tool for earning that crucial click amidst a sea of competing distractions. And crafting effective titles, well, that's an art and a science in itself. But there are several actionable strategies that consistently work well. You can use numbers like 10 steps to social media success because numbers immediately signal structure, clarity, and actionable advice. People like lists.
Easy to digest.
Exactly. You can add strong action words like accomplish, build, generate, master, for example. Accomplish your fitness goals in just 30 days. This creates a sense of urgency, benefit, and empowerment, including powerful adjectives like essential, ultimate, beautiful, effortless, as in the Essential Guide to Beautiful Home Organization, adds appeal and perceived value. Incorporating words with strong emotional impact like secret, instant, shocking, best can also be very effective. Think, discover the secret to instant productivity, tapping into universal desires for quick solutions or insider knowledge. It's also really effective to address the reader directly using you or your, making it feel personal and immediately relevant. Something like the mistakes you're making in your morning routine. This pulls the reader right in. Brevity is also key. Try to keep the ideal length to around 6 words or about 60 characters. This ensures it displays well, especially on search engines and social media feeds. Think master digital marketing in 6 easy steps.
Short and punchy.
All right. And finally, from a practical standpoint, always try to include the main keyword that your target audience is likely searching for. This is crucial for SEO, ensuring your content actually gets found by the people looking for exactly what you're offering. Something like how you can improve your work-life balance today. The title is your first and often your only chance to make that critical initial connection, and it needs to hit hard, be accurate, and promise real value.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive has really, truly unpacked the incredible layers involved in what it actually means to be a successful creator or marketer in today's digital age. It's become so clear that it's vastly more than just, putting words on a page or hitting the publish button. We've definitely had to unlearn some fundamental assumptions along the way.
It's a complex landscape.
It really is. It's about adopting this truly holistic approach. First, understanding your audience on an incredibly intimate level through their data ethically, of course. Then, developing and maintaining a consistent, authentic brand voice that genuinely resonates across all the platforms they use. And finally, mastering both the art and the crucial ethics of the content hook to successfully capture and retain their attention in that first critical moment.
Absolutely. And I think what this entire discussion really reinforces is that while technology, AI, data analytics, automation offers truly incredible speed, efficiency, and scale, that human touch remains absolutely paramount. Things like creativity, genuine empathy, strategic oversight, and a deep-seated sense of ethical responsibility.
Yeah.
These aren't just beneficial, they are utterly essential for fostering genuine connection and building lasting trust with your audience in the long run.
The tech is a tool, not the soul.
Precisely. AI can be an amazing amplifier, an incredible tool that extends our reach and capabilities. But it's ultimately the human element that breathes soul into the content, navigates the ethical complexities, and builds those meaningful, sustainable relationships that truly matter.
It makes me think, Perhaps the true measure of a writer or creator who's really made it in this hyper-connected world isn't merely the clicks or the conversions they generate, nor maybe even the zeros at the end of their bank account. Instead, it might be the profound, often invisible impact their words actually have on the hearts and minds of those who consume them, shaping their decisions, influencing their emotions, maybe even altering their very perception of reality for better, or sometimes for worse. The power to write for an audience that actually consistently listens, well, it comes with an immense silent responsibility.